Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Public Education for the City of Savannah and the County of Chatham. This meeting is being live streamed, so those of you who are watching on the live stream, hello. I'll start by asking if the meeting notice was posted and the agenda. I've been assured it has. We will start with our opening exercises. If you will all stand for our national anthem and pledge of allegiance.
Good afternoon. Today we are pleased to have Obadiah Rodway. He is a freshman at Beach High School, and he will be performing the national anthem on the alto saxophone. Yeah, yay Beach. This is his 7th year playing the saxophone, and Obadiah is currently a member of the Savannah Youth Philharmonic, one of our wonderful community partners. If you would please remain standing after the national anthem for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's hear it again for Obadiah. Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Oh. And we do have announcements today, as soon as I get to them. So first of all, we'd like to congratulate our superintendent. She was the speaker at the Girl Scout breakfast this morning, and she did an excellent job. Okay, we have a public hearing this evening at 6 p.m. This is hearing number 1 on our budget at 6 p.m. Thursday, I guess that's tomorrow, the Junior Police Academy graduation ceremony at Woodville Tompkins. Perfect. And it starts at 5. On Friday, May 10th, this is big. On Friday, May 10th, we will have the ribbon cutting of the multi-campus 612. Yeah, I know Dr. Howard Hall is very happy. Mercer and Groves. Again, that is Friday at noon at Priscilla's Thomas Way in Garden City. May 14th, we have our 2024 retirement reception at the Armstrong Center at Georgia Southern Armstrong campus. Wednesday, May 15th, we have the Finance Advisory Committee meeting here at 9. Wednesday, May 15th is May Day at the Massey Heritage Center on Calhoun Square. No, I'm sorry, that is now Taylor Square. Make that adjustment. Okay. And there are more announcements. Wednesday, May 15th, we have public hearing number 2 on the budget at 6 p.m. in this room. Thursday, May 16th, we have a capital improvement committee meeting at 9 a.m. here at Whitney. Thursday, May 16th, we have the official closing event for Largo Tibet School. And it will be at Largo Tibet School on Tibet Avenue. May 20th through May 23rd, all of my board members and I will see each other for a long time. Those are all of our high school graduations. So on Monday, May 20th, we have New Hampstead at 9, Islands at 1, and Savannah Arts at 5. Tuesday, we have Jenkins at 9, Windsor Forest at 1, Beach High School at 5.
Yes.
Wednesday, Woodville Tompkins at 9, Johnson High School at 1, Groves at 5. Thursday, School of Liberal Studies at Savannah High School at 9, and Savannah-Chatham e-learning and Savannah Early College at 1 p.m. And in our remembrances, okay. Great, we have 2. We have Donna Nichols, date of passing April 5th, 2024. She was a teacher at West Chatham Middle School. If we'd all stand for a moment of silence. And now for our good news.
Yes, it is a point of privilege to be able to bring.
Microphone.
It's a point of privilege to be able to bring some good news into the room today for us to celebrate and acknowledge. And I'd like to start that by acknowledging our March Student of the Month. Our Student of the Month for the month of March is a 5th grader at May Howard Elementary School. This young scholar is in the robotics club and participated in the first Lego League competition this year. He is also a part of the gifted program, Advanced Mathematics, and has maintained a high honor roll all year. And as a 5th grader, it's not easy to maintain a 97 GPA, but he certainly works hard to attain this goal, said Ms. Lyons, who nominated him. He is always smiling, and he wants to put his best foot forward. He is working at a 6th grade level in math, 99th percentile in iReady, and has shown tremendous growth all year. When describing our Student of the Month, Ms. Lyons said, "We started a robotics club this year at May Howard, and one student would always find new strategies to code because he wanted to learn, but he also wanted to help his teammates. He went above and beyond and would even work during his lunch periods to help his robotics team succeed." Our student explained his experience at the robotics competition, and he said, "It was the best day of my life. We were learning while having fun." When asked what motivates him to strive for academic success, our student said, "I like making my family happy and proud of me. Most of my cousins attend the University of Georgia or Georgia Tech, and I want to follow in their footsteps. Please help me to congratulate the superintendent's Student of the Month for the month of April, Justin Ha."
Congratulations, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Keep up the great work. Good job.
Guess I need to come and teach us.
Great job.
Next year, you're on the team.
Justin will receive multiple gifts from our community partners, gift cards from Members First Credit Union, Georgia United Credit Union, Plant Riverside District Gelato, Savannah Music Festival, and the Five Spot Restaurant. Plus, he will receive merchandise from Advertising Specialties, Savannah State University, Georgia Southern University, Gulfstream, and Bahama Joe's. Justin and his students from his English Language Arts class will receive copies of his favorite book, Hatchet, one of my favorites as well, by Gary Paulson, from our sponsor, E. Shaver Booksellers. Again, congratulations to Justin. I'm extremely proud of you, Justin, and I would love for his nominator, Ms. Lyons, to please stand. Thank you so much for acknowledging this wonderful student, and I would love to have his family please stand. You should be very proud. I'd like to continue with calls for applause by talking a little bit about some good news that's happening in our school district. Thanks to everyone who came out and supported books, blankets, and family fun on
I'm sorry,
April
Dr.
27th.
Watts?
Yes,
I apologize. Is the principal of his school present?
I do not know.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yes, please stand.
Please stand. I apologize. Thanks to everyone who came out and supported books, blankets, and family fun on April 27th. We had Chamber of Commerce weather and a park full of people who enjoyed the fellowship, the food, and most importantly, reading. Thousands of students, staff, and their families filled the park for a great day focused on literacy. Thank you to the Office of College and Career Readiness for organizing, to our staff who came out on a Saturday and worked and supported this event, as well as our community partners for sharing their resources and to sponsor for making this entire event possible and a success. Also, congratulations to Savannah Arts Academy, Woodville Tompkins High School, Savannah Early College High School, Islands High School, and Jenkins High School for being named among the top high schools in the country by U.S. News and World Report. Each year, the news magazine publishes a list of rankings for schools across the entire nation, and the rankings of high schools, with these rankings first published in 2007 And in 2021, the publisher added rankings of elementary and middle schools to the list. So with that said, congratulations to STEM Academy at Bartlett, Garrison School for the Arts, Savannah Classical Academy, and Coastal Middle School for high rankings among the middle schools, and Jacob G. Smith, Savannah Classical Academy, Marsh Point Elementary, Tybee Island Maritime Academy, and Garrison School for the Arts for their recognition in the elementary category. We officially welcome commencement season. It's an exciting time of the year as students begin to step into the next phase of their lives. We kicked off the season with the celebration of excellence at Woodville Tompkins Auditorium last month, where we had our valedictorians, our salutatorians, our star students, and our international students being recognized at that event. I would like to extend a big thank you to our school counselors who put in the extra time for organizing this event. Watch our website for all the details about graduation that are up and coming. We look forward to seeing all of you at the commencement exercises May 20th through the 23rd at the In-Market Arena. Also, congratulations to Dr. Angie Lewis on her reappointment to the Career and Technical Education Advisory Commission by our Governor, Brian Kemp. The advisory board strengthens CTAE programs statewide by providing input for curriculum and related program activities, as well as helping to increase community awareness and participation in CTAE programs. Dr. Lewis's participation on that state committee is a testament to her leadership and her outstanding work that is being done right here in Savannah-Chatham County Public School System. Also, thank you to the Mediation Center of the Coastal Empire for their acknowledgement of our students at the Youth Peacemakers Recognition and Awards Ceremony. We appreciate the partnership that we have with the Mediation Center in guiding peer problem solving through youth programs, such as the Positive Peer Influences Program, peer mediation, and the Mediation Center's Youth Court. Jenkins High School won the Platinum Award for the most mediations facilitated by a school peer mediation team. Charles Ellis Montessori and Windsor Forest High School both won Peer Mediation Marketing Awards. Several students were recognized with these awards as well. You can see all of the award winners at our district website, sccpss.com. Middle and high school students from across Georgia gathered in Athens, Georgia earlier this month to present their original research, compete for awards, and interact with top-level professional scientists and engineers at the Georgia Science and Engineering Fair. Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools had 6 students from 2 schools earn recognitions this year. Congratulations to Eleanor O'Connor of Garrison School of the Performing Arts, Deverell Goldson, Piper Mott, Henry Keller Sims, all of the STEM Academy at Bartlett students. Piper also received a nomination to the National Thermo Fisher Scientific Junior Innovators Challenge. That was a mouthful. And the honors in science and technology just keep on coming in for our students. Georgia College and State University recently hosted its annual state science and engineering competition for kindergarten through 5th grade, which featured 454 students who submitted 328 projects from 101 schools. SCCPSS students from Jacob G. Smith, New Hampstead K-8, White Bluff Elementary, Hurd Elementary, and Garrison Schools for the Arts fielded several successful entries, which included a first-place Grand Mastery, Honor Best of Math, and a Computational and Physical Sciences Award. Congratulations to all the students who participated and to their teachers for putting in the work to be successful in this competition. And if all of that is not enough, I have even more to celebrate. Hats off to the Savannah High Marching Blue Jackets. They picked up the Viewer's Choice Award at the Battle of the Books at Six Flags in Atlanta. They competed against bands from Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Congratulations to all students and to our band director, Mr. Reginald Mitchell. And finally, please join me in a big round of applause for our scholars who were named to the 2024 Class of Gates Scholars. These year's awardees are Cameron Middleton, Jamari Sharp, and Timothy Williams, all from Woodville Tompkins, and Tania Truell from Beach High School. Ms. Truell is also the valedictorian of her class and this year's star student. This marks the 6th time in the past 3 years and 7th time overall that Woodville Tompkins students have been honored with this prestigious scholarship, and the 4th time overall for Beach High School. This year, only 750 students were selected from over 53,000 applications from across the country. As awardees, they will receive funding for the full cost of attendance of their undergrad college tuition. In addition to support for their undergraduate studies, they will also receive mentorship, career support, and leadership development. It is indeed my honor to invite these scholars to the front, to the horseshoe, to come forward to be recognized for the Board of Education. And I'd love for their families, if they are present today, to please stand. Cameron, great job. Thank you. I'm extremely proud. And Jamar, congratulations. Very proud. And our Gate Scholar from Beach is not present today, but we want to acknowledge her again and celebrate her family as well. We do. We had a lot of good news for this month, and Miss Dillon, it's going to be hard for you to follow that, but I'm going to pass you the mic. Let you try.
I know, darn it. That's okay. This past month, on April 18th, we held our professional Senate meeting, and this was our last formal meeting of the school year. Bittersweet, we're glad to get out, but so much has been accomplished this year. To add to the continuity of the Senate, teachers and instructional support persons that will represent next year were invited and attended, along with Miss Emily Graham, the 2025 Teacher of the Year. In preparation for this meeting, questions were submitted to the board members ahead of time, and the board members did an amazing job listening and addressing the questions presented, ranging from topics from cell phones, textbooks, class size waivers, preparing to meet future needs, populations, and mental wellness. I know this is going to shock you. We ran out of time in our hour and 30 minutes. There was so much to share, and thank you, board members, for being there. Going forward, it was discussed that the board members would be invited earlier in the school year rather than at the end of the school year. Many of the concerns that were pre-submitted were operational and administration-based. The cabinet is going to go through the questions and will provide updates that will be emailed early in May. As with all meetings this year, all present provided open and transparent communication. Thank you to all of the stakeholders. Together we can, together we will. Respectfully submitted from Reagan Dillon and Moses McNeil.
And I have the honor and privilege of recognizing two very critical work groups within Savannah-Chatham County Public School System. If you do not know already, this week is National Teacher Appreciation Week. So if you know a teacher, which we all do, because by virtue of being in this room, I would invite you to extend personal acknowledgement and gratitude for the efforts that they bring forth each and every day in service of our students. And I'll be excited in just a second to read their proclamation. And if we have individuals here representing that group, we'd love for them to come to the front. And also National School Nurse Day is a very critical day within this week, and we want to celebrate our nurses this week also with a proclamation. Am I reading those? I don't want to, but I can't name.
First off, this morning there was also breakfast to recognize the appreciation for the school nurses. It was an honor actually to be there this morning, and to all the school nurses, once again, thank you for everything you do. So here is a proclamation. It's presented to celebrate National School Nurse Day. School nurses are considered an integral part of the educational process, contributing to the well-being of every child to ensure all students achieve success in schools. We, along with the National Association of School Nurses, celebrate and acknowledge the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere in their efforts to meet the needs of today's students by providing and advocating for quality student-centered care. We offer gratitude for school nurses, not just on this National School Nurse Day, but in every opportunity throughout the year. Thus be it resolved by this Board of Public Education, do we hereby proclaim May 8th, 2024 as National School Nurse Day.
I'll accept a motion.
So move.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. So we have nurses present today. So nurses that are present, please come forward. I'm going to read their names. Victoria Stewart, Raven Dufour, Sparkle Richburg, Stephanie Tutt, Tanya Anderson, Dolores Borden, Suzanne Hansen, Stephanie Nails, Sarah Williams, Vanessa Arbuckle, Brenda Searzant, Kiara Bugas, Marie Robertson, Zukira Northern Murphy, Tanya Lucas, Karen McPherson, and Gayan Prince. Guys.
Y'all are my favorite people in this one of the hardest jobs.
Yeah, it does.
Everything's so happy.
Yes. David?
Yes, good afternoon. It is my privilege and honor, and I'm sure all of us would fight over wanting to read the proclamation for National Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes.
I will agree with Mr. Johnson. It was nice to spend time with the nurses this morning, to thank them for what they do. One of them already wrote us a thank you for thanking them. So just a great time to celebrate our staff. Again, my honor and privilege on behalf of this board to read this proclamation. To recognize the valuable contributions of our teachers, the Board of Education would like to officially recognize Teacher Appreciation Week that is designated nationally from May 6th through May 10th, 2024. Thus be it resolved that the following proclamation be adopted. Whereas Savannah-Chatham County Public School teachers make schools great, and whereas teachers work to open minds to new ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship, and whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas teachers leave a lasting influence on us long after our school days are only memories. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we recognize the week of May 6th through 10th, 2024, as National Teacher Appreciation Week to celebrate the significant contributions our teachers make for our students in this community, and that all citizens take time all through the month of May and really the entire year to thank a teacher. Adopted this 8th day of May 2024 Signed, Mr. Roger Moss, Board President. Dr. Denise Watts, Superintendent.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Yes, let's do it.
You're a teacher too, sweetie.
Are there any other teachers? Please come forward.
Choke me up.
Come on. Come on.
Thank you. Oh, there's my other teacher, I know. Teacher.
Sir, I did want to take the opportunity as well as the instructional support person. Our nurse from Oglethorpe Charter is leaving right now. But Miss Borden is also the instructional support person of the year for 2025. Thank you for your service. And of course, she's going to follow in the great footsteps of Mr. Moses McNeil, Mr. Ispy with us. Okay, and that's our cue. Moving along in the
that's your
agenda, we're moving into the Board of Education matters for the board today. We have a number of policies to go over. Some of these are first readers for the board. You'll see before you on item 6.01, this is policy BDH, suspension of waivers. You'll note that this is a mid-period review, and the reason we're bringing this forward to the board is we've made modifications for this policy language to be updated, which is in concert with the board's action item of later on in the agenda with the adoption of the strategic waiver school system contract. So this is the first reader here. We'll bring it back for the second reader at the next board meeting to officially memorialize this language.
Thank you. Moving on. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. In one of the edits that's on this document is that all of the statutes that the waivers are cited from is being taken out of the policy. So my question is, where will an updated list be housed if it's not going to be in the policy?
Yes, those will be part of the contract. So the Georgia Department of Education posts all the final contracts on their website to include all the approved waivers. So in order to being able to track multiple sites to ensure any changes in waivers are done, we eliminated it from the policy so that there's only one location to find those approved waivers, which would be the State Department of Education.
Okay, so we're going to put in an application that has all of the waivers that we want, and when if they approve all of them, if they don't approve all of them, does that mean you have to modify the application before they upload it?
The final list will be approved by the state board, and then that will be posted. So we're currently in the process of negotiating those final waivers.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure it was available somewhere for us to find it. Thanks.
Of course, in a matter of transparency as well, we'll have an area in our website where we will post links to that, just to make it easy for the general public if they're searching for it to find it. So, but taking it out of the policy language allows, we'll never say never, I guess, when it comes to contracts. So if there was a mid-year or mid-period review or a change from the state that would require modifications to it, we realize, well, then we'll have to keep going back to modify the policy. So does it make good sense to list this in here when it really lives in the actual contract, which is at the state? But again, we'll make it easy for citizens to find that.
Thank you. That was my concern, is that policies, a one-page policy is where a parent can see that.
Yeah.
But now we're saying go to the state board website, which I don't even like going to.
Yeah.
But I understand the logic, and as long as we have hyperlinks that get people there, I think that's fine.
Excellent.
Moving on.
Hearing no other comments, moving on to your next item on the agenda, 6.02. This is Board Policy BD, which is policy development. This is a 4-year review. We have made some modifications for improved language here, but of course this is the primary area of the board's wheelhouse and the ownership of policies. One of the great things that we do as an administration and board is we review these publicly during board meetings as a standard course of our progress and a standard part of our policy, which is enumerated in language on the 4-year review. So this is, we believe, improved language, which really memorializes better the role of the board in what it does in the policy development process. This is a first reader. We'll come back for second at next agenda.
Okay. Ms. Grabowski.
Thank you. So I like in the second paragraph, it really focuses on the involvement of the community, which I think is great. And I guess it is implied that that community includes our district community of our teachers and staff that are the ones that are most directed by our policy. But I think it would be really helpful to explicitly state that. With the intentionality of understanding the way in which our policies affect our internal team and the way in which they're interacting with, and our students, obviously. But that's just a comment I would offer for consideration.
Dr. Brinkman.
Anytime I can sing your praises. I love how this is written. I love that it states community, that it used to say just the superintendent, which wasn't our practice, so thank you for making it to where it has always been a collaborative process. I have never felt that I couldn't bring some policy idea in front of everyone. It might have only gotten my vote, but we have the process by which anybody can bring policy to a board member, and if they can get a board member to go, okay, yeah, I'll present that to the rest of the board, that's what happens here. And that doesn't happen in some of the other governmental institutions in the state of Chatham. So thank you for writing it down this way. And community, hear what we're saying. We write policy with you, whether it be teachers, nurses, students. If you think something needs to change, and it's something that we think needs to change as well, we want to bring it forward. That's how we direct the superintendent to direct her staff to move us forward. So it has worked for me. I think it's worked for fellow board members this way as well. And I don't know if I could be in an elected position where I would have to make sure I had a majority already to bring an idea or a policy forward. So I'm glad that this is written the way it is. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Moving on.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Moving on in the agenda, on your next lineup, we have item 6.03. This is Board Policy BH Code of Ethics. Once again, this is part of the 4-year review process. You'll note that we've gone through this and there are no recommended changes for it. The language stands as quality language as written. Therefore, we'd like to consider that subject to any final comments of the board. This one is considered as reviewed under the 4-year policy review process.
Okay. Dr. Hoskins-Brown.
Thank you. I don't have any changes for this policy. I just have a question about the sanction process, or just what a sanction is. In some entities, a sanction is that it's a communication of disapproval of an action of some kind, and then there's a fine or there's something else, but we don't have that. So just to be clear, is a sanction just a process that board members can review the actions of another board member, convene a hearing, decide whether or not those actions are in violation of ethical policy, and then have a vote to say, yes, we sanction that board member? Is the sanction just a demerit or a naughty letter? Is that what it is? And I'm okay with that. I just need to be clear because we talked about sanctions a number of years ago, but I don't think we ever defined what sanction was.
Yeah, I think this is a great place to get a little additional feedback from a legal perspective. The way it is written does provide, it says the word appropriate, the appropriate sanction as well in the language. So that could be anything from being admonished in a way of a written letter. We've seen that before. That's been governmental agencies have used. But I think the one thing that we don't see, and it's not listed in here, is any discussion of suspensions or things like that. But see, that goes into a further review of how far would the board go in what is deemed as appropriate. And the other caveats are there are also governance rules, statute, as elected officials, that you are elected officials and you have a term to serve. So I think we could get a little additional language on that just to clarify it for the board's understanding and process.
Thanks, I'd appreciate that. And I just think in fairness to any colleague that you ought to know what sanction is before you're in it. Don't decide what the appropriate thing is when someone is in the process of sanction because it's subjective. And if someone could devise something much more punitive than is necessary or is appropriate. So anyway, if we could just get the definition of sanction, if it is something other than a letter, from our legal team at some point in the future, I would like to know that.
Great. Ms. Hall.
We had a situation a few years ago where what we considered a sanction did not meet the standards at all of the governing of
It was advanced ed and cognitive
at all. In fact, that was part of the reason that we were placed on probation because they felt we had not done our due diligence in sanctioning. So we do need to clarify that.
Mr. Kachmar.
We can come up with a long list of potential sanctions, but at the end of the day, we don't have the power to remove people in elected positions. And I think we get into a real gray area if we try to remove them or bar them from trying to sit in their seat during a board meeting. So I think it has to be guided by legal, and we need to be careful to not pre-prescribe punishment for every situation that may come up because we can't imagine every situation that may come up. So I would want us to retain some flexibility to judge those particular facts on the merits and make a decision then collectively.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying too. I think there's a fine line of potentially including but not limited to, something like that. We just need to be careful, I think.
Thank you. And since the history, the issue of our history has come up, that is my concern. We wrote a letter of concern because we thought that was the appropriate method to convey that there were some behaviors that we thought were not representative of the organization. And Cognia said, yeah, that doesn't count. So what I'm interested in is what is a sanction that if we say that we took action as a responsible group to try to change a direction or something that was going on, that Cognia would say, yes, that qualifies as a sanction. And I think a letter of sanction would be that. We didn't execute that letter in that way. We didn't follow this process exactly how it was written. So I just want to get clarified. I think that as elected officials who part of our currency is the hygiene of our reputation, a letter can be sufficiently embarrassing and notable to indicate that you're not acting in the way that people believe that you should. So I don't know that I need a list of these different things that Mr. Kachmar says would be difficult to codify in the first place. I just want to make sure we're on the same page with the people who police us in policing ourselves.
So I'm going to defer that to legal, and we'll hear back from them soon. Right? Anyone else?
Excellent. So hearing no changes to that policy, we'd like to consider it officially reviewed now in our 4-year policy review process, and we will provide additional clarity for you on those topics that were discussed through our legal department. Moving forward on your agenda, we now have Board Policy IKB, which is controversial issues. And this is a policy that we have had for some time in the school district. And I do want to make sure that this is not one that is conflated with or confused with divisive concepts or any of the other policies that we have recently adopted under, say, Parent Bill of Rights. This really is a generalized approach to saying and understanding that in the world of teaching, there are going to be times where something could be considered controversial to someone. And you have guide rails for how that is to be approached. And the policy also provides what you shall not do as well. And you'll note that we did change a little bit of that language. The idea was to provide some improved language there. And this ends up being a, again, 4-year review, first reader, second read at your next agenda.
Dr. Howard-All.
Yes, thank you. I know that controversial issues is akin to sensitive topics. And I know that we're trying to keep it separate from SB 377. So do you think that there should be a regulation attached to this policy since it's a close relation between SB 377?
Well, interesting you raise that, because we did have some internal discussions about the value of the policy as it stands as written. The guidance that we got from legal was really that, well, this is really more broad scoping. So it does stand on its own merit for what it does. However, I think that trying to actually enumerate a regulation from this may be a bit of a challenge for us, in that it would be difficult to stipulate what one might determine as a controversial issue that someone else may not. The key in here is the guide rails that says that you need to, as a classroom educator, to understand the sensitivity of that, approach it correctly, but do not be persuasive. So you'll note that that language that used to say indoctrination has now been changed to shall not persuade, to have your own personal belief or philosophy. So the guide rails on that, I think, are fairly clear, but we're happy to sit down and talk further, primarily with our academic team, to see if there would be anything that would stipulate a regulation for folks to further understand this. So again, the regulation is really how do you carry out the policy? But as we read this policy, it's really just kind of general guidelines on understanding that these topics are there, but the key shall not is tied to that. Don't persuade anyone of your own personal views.
So this would be more of a professional development, you think, as far as academic affairs is concerned?
Yeah. So perfect.
For teachers.
So actually, yes, I think that's more where it would be embedded as opposed to a regulation. We did have that conversation, and it's very similar to what you discussed earlier. It could get very subjective and include so much. So basically embedding this not just in professional development, but also in handbooks that administrators give to teachers, and then doing those reminders in terms of not to persuade and making sure that they understand what this means.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Okay, next item on your agenda, our final policy read for today. This is 6.05. This is also a review for you, which comes in as a mid-period review in something that we noticed as in administration, and it came actually as a request from an employee. And the primary driver for this on the tuition revision is on the policy side, where we do say that the tuition will be waived for employees who have children who live out of county but have children who are attending the school where they work. What we didn't have in there was the extension of that to include charter schools. So we have extended that. That's really the only language change in here. Previous policies, we had extended the definition of guardianship, so you do see that there's the guardianship/agent component reference here. But the primary change is within the policy there to further define that when we say employees, that also includes employees of charter schools that are operating within our school district.
Mr. Kachmar.
So I need some clarity. So this is a policy-driven revision and not a state law-driven revision, is that right?
State law provides a flexibility for school districts to make the determination of waiving tuition. Outside of the tuition is based on the verification that A, you are a Georgia resident, and B, that you are working for the educational institution, i.e. Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. So what we have done locally is determined in this policy recommendation is to say that charter school staff are also staff of the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System.
Okay, and so is the intent that if the child lives outside of Chatham County and attends a charter school inside of Chatham County, they will not be charged tuition?
If the staff member works there.
Okay, is that our purview or is that the charter school's decision? That's my first question. And my second question is, I'm reading this, so I see the third paragraph and it says, children of full-time employees who go to the school their parents work in won't be charged tuition. But to be clear, if we have a family that lives out of Chatham County and a parent works at Garrison, the child can't go to any school in the district. They can only go to the school where their parent works. Is that accurate? Or could they go to any school in the district?
Yeah, by law, that is absolutely correct. The law states that a parent's child is by law have the right to attend the school where the parent works.
Okay, so we don't allow out-of-state students to try to go to any out-of-county student to go to any in-county school unless their parent works there. That's the first, right?
That is correct. If they attend a separate school within the district, they are charged tuition.
So we do allow out-of-county students to attend in-county schools, but we charge to it. Okay.
Yes.
So now my question is, if you work outside of the county and you work at a charter school, can your child go tuition-free to any school in the county? Is that what this policy says?
No, it should not. It should say that the child can attend the charter school.
Okay. So I think that
Where
needs
the
to be
parent
clarified,
works.
because when I read the amendment, I think we need to clarify, tuition won't be charged for a child attending the regular school or the charter school in which their parent is employed.
Yes.
Okay.
For point of clarity, we did actually, what drove this change was we did want to allow charter school employees the same benefit of the ability to attend our schools. So that was the intention. So that would be different than a charter school, because the scenario that came up, that this arose out of, was not someone seeking to be at a charter school. It was to be at one of our schools. Okay. And we wanted to treat that charter school employee the same as our own employee. And when this was drafted, that treatment wasn't there. So, okay, I mean, we can take this back to the drawing board and make sure we're all straight, because it seems like we've got a lot of confusion. But that was the genesis of this change.
So okay, so that's my what I was trying to get at, because I get an out of county teacher working at one of our public schools, non-charter schools, us providing tuition-free access for their child, but we get funding for that child. An out-of-county teacher who works at a charter school, we don't get that funding. That funding goes to the charter school. But yet we're providing the opportunity to attend any school in the district tuition-free. So there are different trade-offs there. So I was trying to figure out the intent of the policy. And then I go back to, are we allowed to make this decision for a charter school in terms of charging tuition or not? And I need clarity on that as well.
Okay. Dr. Costa, Ms. Brown, Ms. Hall.
Yeah, I have the same question in terms of whether or not we can make that decision. I mean, we can if it's in the contract. Whatever's in the contract when they receive the contract, then we can do. But then there's managing those numbers, over the course of the year, managing those data and make sure it's captured, because then we would have to give the money. We have to give money for the entire enrollment. So that means the money given to that school would include that for the parents, for the children of the employees, right? And it would include the tuition for the child of the employee, and also those numbers for the employees. How does that count for the numbers we talked about earlier with Susie King Taylor, with wait lists, with limited seats, with any of those things? So if we're bringing all our policies, I just think from a governance point of view, I would like to see all those things packaged in the contract, and then we know the contract carries forward and all the rules travel with it, and then we know the money can follow those rules. But the legal opinion of the questions that Mr. Kashmar has asked would be helpful.
And my question, Mr. Moss, is that if I teach at Garrison and my child does not succeed in the lottery, what is the situation for that, Mr. Feliciano?
They still have to meet the criteria in order to be eligible for the choice program.
So if they're, but isn't, so.
So the choice is referenced in policy, and it speaks to being waitlisted, meeting the criteria, and available space.
Okay, but I could see, we don't have any flexibility with that?
The way the policy is currently written, unless we were to change that language, I mean, the key thing is, as we're talking about here, is you do have to look at the space configurations on any given location regarding that. There is language in here that also says that we have the reserve the right to deny. So there are certain flexibilities in how we manage that. So we're happy to look deeper into this from all of these perspectives.
Okay. I was just informed, wow, we need to look at this policy again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so we'll punt that one back. We'll take it back through another legal review and get these questions answered, make sure that we're sufficient to the board's will. Item 6.06 is board norms and protocols. This is an action item of the board, and what this does is it is the annual norms and protocols document that the board shall agree to, which provides a certain level and distinction of quality standards and good governance practice. In fact, the board norms and protocols do set clear expectations for school board operation, communication, and the governance of the school system. Document further supports the board development and memorializes appropriate etiquette and clearly establishes the roles and responsibilities of the board as a governance body. The following norms and protocols have been provided in advance for the Board of Education, and they've also been posted publicly to board docs for the public's review. They're now presented for the board's final review and adoption.
Anyone to move? Yes, it's been moved, seconded. Discussion?
I'll just offer that a lot of what is in our ethics policy is mirrored in our norms. So I appreciate how that's been encapsulated in something that we will memorialize this year.
Ms. Hall?
Mr. Ross, I was hoping there'd be something here about our training so that we would find a way to, expand our opportunities for learning. But I see this is not the venue here to do that.
Yes.
We'll have to look
That's
elsewhere.
something we have to take up with
Yeah.
GSBA. Yeah, my favorite people. Okay, all right. All right, yes, Mr. Johnson.
Real quick, I want to echo what Dr. Hoskins Brown said about this having a lot to do with our code of ethics, but it's also with our normal SOP that we already operate in. And I do like the fact that it puts in here talks about Team 10, the 9 board members and the superintendent working together. I really do like that, so thank you.
All right, any other discussion? There being none, all in favor? That is unanimous. I like that. Thank you. Next.
Next item on your agenda is naming of facilities, multi-campus second read.
Good afternoon. Policy FDC, naming facilities, states that before adopting a name for a facility, the name shall be presented to the board at one meeting and voted on by the board at the next meeting. Based on the reconfiguration of the Gould-Mercer-Groves multi-complex as a result of the modifications implemented through the Long Range Facilities Plan Phase 1, the campus previously named the GMG K-12 will need to be renamed. In accordance with policy FDC and administrative regulation FDR-R, naming facilities, a committee was appointed by the superintendent to provide a recommendation for renaming the GMG K-12 multi-complex. 2 committee meetings were held, and a proposed name was presented to the board during the regularly scheduled board meeting on April 10th, 2024. Since the April board meeting, the committee has reviewed the sequence of the names and concluded that a revised naming order should be offered for the board's consideration prior to adoption. The naming sequence is listed in alphabetical order and is now recommended as Davis Edwards Harris Educational Complex. I want to state that I had the honor and pleasure of facilitating this committee, which was established in accordance with board policy FDC, in that the following stakeholders were invited to serve as members. School leadership represented Principal of Mercer Middle School, Dr. Christian Panton, was present, as well as School Principal of Groves High School, Dr. Monique Hazard Robinson. Mr. Glenn Jones, alumni and former mayor of Port Wentworth, Dr. Gary Monroe, alumni of Groves High School, Summer Coleman, 12th grade honor student at Groves High School, Rashida Harris, parent of 6th grade student at Mercer Middle School, and Dr. Tanya Howard Hall, the board member of the district in which the facility is located, served in the role as an ex officio member. We were fortunate to have broad representation from these individuals who committed to this process. Committee members who were in attendance engaged in robust discussion, and we found that a common theme continued to surface: the need to honor the original landowners in 1955 who ultimately had to forfeit their land for the construction of Robert Groves High School. In keeping with the spirit of how we have honored previous landowners, much like the complex on the south side where Southwest Elementary and Southwest Middle Schools reside, the committee agreed to pay homage to these families through the naming of the school complex. The recommendation is now presented for the board's review and action. Thus be it resolved, upon recommendation of the superintendent, that the board approve the naming of the multi-complex facility as the Davis Edwards Harris Educational Complex.
Accept a motion? It's been moved. I'll accept a second. It's been moved and seconded. We do have someone who has signed up to speak to this. I don't know if they are here or not. Okay, Dr. Gary Monroe. Okay. Sir, you have 3 minutes. Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam Superintendent, to everyone on this prestigious board who has the tremendous task of establishing the pathway of higher learning in Chatham County. It gives me a great honor and privilege to be sitting in the position that I'm sitting in, and that's being a representative of the families who we are seeking to honor with regard to this very distinguished institution of learning, Groves High School. I know you said I have 3 minutes, but time really does not permit the sentiment of the families that I've had the opportunity of sitting with. Some members of the community are 99 years of age, 90 years of age, 85 years of age, and to have the opportunity, and I'm certainly grateful of Dr. Oliver and Dr. Hall, who I guess tasked me with being a grassroots historian to obtain all the information necessary to move forward on this honoring of the families. But this is more than just righting a wrong. We are making a determination to do the right thing by giving honor to where honor is due. I serve as president of the Garden City Homestead Association, which is the oldest organization in the city of Garden City, which was established in 1963 to combat and contend segregation and to support opportunities in these communities from which these families derive from, to ensure that they will have opportunities of recreation and after-school activities. And so when we consider the very prerequisites for naming a school building, and that is with regard to a person having to be deceased, and they have to have made a significant contribution to education, it was concluded what greater contribution that was made than the sacrifice that was made by the predecessors who we are honoring today. And so as I stand here today, and thank you for this opportunity, and thank you all for the even considering this second reading and subsequent vote. I want you to know that we are not opening an old wound. We are healing an old scab. And the families are grateful and they're thankful. Some will be coming from Detroit, Michigan. Some will be coming from New Jersey, some from Atlanta, some from all over the country. And they have expressed their gratitude and gratefulness that the long arm of justice have come back to honor those families who had, as it was alluded, their properties taken by the legalization of condemnation. But we know that there is therefore now no condemnation to them who walk according to the Spirit. So again, sir, thank you for this opportunity, and I look to see you all not only at the ribbon cutting, but as we honor those ribbons in the sky. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other discussion? Dr. Hoskins Brown, and then okay.
Oh, that's no problem. As I sit here and I think, from cottages to an educational complex, from an educational complex to a curriculum, from a curriculum to college readiness and career, I am honored to have served on the committee. And just to give you another backstory, our previous superintendent, Dr. Ann Levette, wanted to ensure that the Board of Education was not encroaching on private property. So she did a research and requested a copy of the certificate of appraisal. And that is when the story of Davis, Edwards, and the Harris family was revealed. And I just thought I'd share that information. And the reason why we chose educational complex, because it personifies the unique flexibility of that multi-site. It has the ability to adjust in the present as well as the future. And just to give an example, it originally was going to be a K-12 school, but due to circumstances and the growth of West Chatham, we had to use the flexibility of the unique space within that building to convert it to a 6-12 facility. I'm looking very forward in attending the ribbon cutting, which will convene on Friday at 12 o'clock. And I will invite the public and everyone to come out and attend. And I will say, don't meet me there, beat me there. Thank you.
Thank you. Hoskins Brown.
Thank you. I'm really happy to see this action taking place, and even the changes that have occurred over time. African American communities formed by natural aggregation and affinity and coalescence, but they also formed because of the consequences of redlining. And so when there are opportunities to recognize the history of African American communities, it appeals to me in a great way, largely by another role that I serve. Some of you may be aware that I chair a federal commission, the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Commission, which is a 4-state national heritage area under the Park Service. And one of the biggest problems that the cultural corridor is facing is loss of land in Gullah Geechee communities. So I think that this naming, it's an acknowledgement of the value of African American land preservation and communities, but it's also evidence that our district is good at doing multiple good things at one time. We needed to rename, and we took an opportunity in the renaming to do multiple good things at one time, and I'm very proud of that act.
Ms. Grabowski.
This is a very minor thing, but just thinking ahead to when there's a sign or whatnot. I know many times when you have multiple names, they are separated by a dash instead of a comma. Are we going to use commas, or do we need to get that particular in the naming of the facility?
So I think at this time, we'll make sure that it is grammatically correct coming from the English teacher.
And then, I know that's super detailed, but wanted to bring it up now and not wait till later. And then I did run this by Dr. Howard Hall and fully respect and appreciate all of the work by the committee, because clearly there was a lot of thought that went into this. I did ask Dr. Howard Hall if she would consider campus instead of educational complex as a more precise way, and to me, something that emanates the educational nature of it. But respect if that is not the will of the committee, but I did want to just throw that out there for the consideration of the board.
Mr. Johnson.
For those people who were not able to watch or attend the last meeting, I wanted to remind the public that the Davis Edwards Harris Educational Complex is for the complex, the whole area. It's still going to be Groves, and it's still going to be Mercer with inside of it. So those people who are alumni of those schools, don't worry, those schools are not going away. We're just naming the complex. We're naming the area in honor of these families. So I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware of that.
Dr. Brinkman.
We've been on the topic long enough, so I've been able to think. And it brings me great joy to know that a teacher in the future will be able to tell her students or his students why those 3 names reside on this land. And I don't know who found all these documents that we've been shared. Maybe Dr. Monroe, thank you. I mean, this, if I've got it, I know somebody's got the original somewhere. So it's going to be shared so that those students will be able to say, this is why. As a Beach High grad, a lot of people say, oh, you went to school at the beach. I know. Even people in Savannah sometimes, they're like, why is this called the beach? It's not about, and to have been educated on who that name is. It's the same that will happen here. So a teaching moment about our history, the U.S.'s history, just, again, it's the small things, so thank you, that mean so much, so much. And that story will change some child's outlook on what they do for the rest of their life.
Howard Hall.
Yes, and I'd just like to close by saying that is why I mentioned the backstory when Dr. Levette did the research. Every school has an archive. All this information is actually found at the Board of Education. And in the packets that the board members have, we actually have pictures of the cottages. We have the outline details of what was on that property, such as chicken coops and hog pens. It even talked about the new property that was adjacent to this particular property for another group of, another race, shall I say. And due to eminent domain, we know the rest of the story, but it's all in archives at the Board of Education. Every school has a story. And it was just interesting that it was forgotten about, but due to some other circumstances, the superintendent was led, Dr. Levette was led to let me do a little research to find out whether or not we are encroaching on private property. And that's when all of this came about. And I'm very grateful and thankful for that.
Ms. Hall.
I see Mr. Joseph Schwartzberg is here from the Savannah Morning News, and perhaps we could give him a copy of this because this is newsworthy. Oh, he already has it. He does have it, Joseph? Okay, very good.
I was getting ready to say there's a motion on the floor. I would love to vote for it.
I know.
I think everybody's
Well,
excited.
We still have some more discussion. Go ahead.
It's really just picking up on what Dr. Brinkman said. I love that we have names reflected in so many of our schools, but it's hard to find that information. So this is just I don't know, maybe the communications team and our lovely new website, maybe there's an opportunity to really celebrate and elevate the names that are associated with all of our schools throughout the district.
They are in the archives in the basement.
All right. All right. Any more discussion? Okay, great. Okay, there being no more discussion, all in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. And thank you, committee.
Board of Education has an action item for a lease of facility on its agenda today. This is lease of facility for the Coastal Empire Montessori Charter School. Board owns certain property located at 2001 Cynthia Street in Savannah and seeks to lease the premise to the Coastal Empire Montessori Community Organization doing business as Coastal Empire Montessori Charter School, a Georgia nonprofit organization and locally approved K-5 charter school authorized by the board and the Georgia Department of Education. The lease has been posted to board docs publicly and has been provided in advance to the Board of Education. Key terms for the lease with the effective date based on the last signature to fully execute the agreement with a facility turnover date planned for July 7th. The board, as listed in the lease, the landlord, has provided best efforts to locate suitable space with input from the Coastal Empire Montessori Charter School, the tenant, so that the tenant may relocate to the aforementioned property not later than the FY25 school year, which is July 1st, 2024. The agreement has been reviewed by the board attorney and is supported by the superintendent. Thus be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Public Education does hereby approve the enclosed lease agreement providing suitable space for the Coastal Empire Montessori Charter School, subject to the stipulations of the agreement and its exhibits, and does hereby authorize the superintendent to sign the agreement.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right. There being none, all in favor? Oh, we're getting along so well today. I just jinxed it. No, that was unanimous, by the way. Okay, all right. Before...
You have one more agenda item, sir, in Board of Education matters, which is the contract resolution for a strategic waiver school system.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All strategic waiver school system contracts in Georgia are set to expire on June 30th, 2024. The administration intent is to continue operating under a strategic waiver school system performance contract. During the renewal application process, 3 teams were established for an in-depth review and discussion on the waiver options provided by the Georgia Department of Education. The administration has carefully reviewed each of the flexibility options offered by the Georgia Department of Education, and in doing so presented Appendix A, flexibility components of the contract for public involvement on the Georgia flexibility waivers. A draft renewal contract and Appendix A flexibility waivers have been prepared for review and is now presented for board approval. The contract that is in your packets and posted on Board Doc has been provided by the Georgia Department of Education. We do not control the information that is placed on it. There is an error or a mistake made. The Georgia Department of Education is aware of that, but they has informed me that I can proceed and provide it to the board for approval, that when the state board approves the contract, then the final revision and updated one will be provided back to the LEAs. So just wanted to inform you of that.
Is that error on page 3?
That's the one that has the repeating item.
Good then.
Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Savannah-Chatham County Board of Public Education does hereby approve the application and contract for the strategic waiver school system and its component to be submitted to the Georgia Department of Education for final state approval, and authorizes the board chair and the superintendent to fully execute the agreement upon final negotiations with the Georgia Department of Education.
Okay, I'll accept a motion. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Michael. Mr. Johnson, sorry.
It's fine. I've been called worse things. I just want to say, for those who also didn't watch the meeting when we talked about this last time, the state's basically saying we have to do a Swiss. They're not letting us change it from anything else, so we're just doing the best that we can with the waivers that we're able to do.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor? Yes. Thank you very much. It is unanimous. Okay. Before we go to, Kurt, I need some guidance here. Because we have someone, oh, no, that's later. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm
you're on
sorry.
your
We're
consent
fine.
agenda.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Excellent.
Good. Go ahead. So I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second, okay. Any discussions? None. Good. All in favor? Is that yes? That's a no. Okay. All right, that is, keep your hands up, please. That's 5. Yes, okay. All opposed? 2 opposed? All abstaining? And 2 abstaining. All right, thank you. Next, we'll have approval of the minutes for the meeting. Okay. I don't want, okay, good.
Good afternoon again. We have a few items up under strategic priority. I believe it's number 1. All of the items have been posted to board docs, and board members have received copies of the agenda items, so excuse me if I skim through some of them as I read them. The first one is RFP 21-28, Multimedia Classroom Presentation Systems. This is just an annual contract extension. On May 10th, 2023, the board approved the second annual renewal award of RFP 21-28, Multimedia Classroom Presentation Systems. The annual contract to the firm Net Planner Systems Incorporated. Now staff is just requesting an extension of the contract. The funding source is coming out of East Plus. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the contract extension of RFP 21-28, Multimedia Classroom Presentation Systems, annual contract to the firm of Net Planner Systems Incorporated at an estimated cost of $2,800,000.
Moved. Seconded? Ms. Hall, did you second that? Yes, thank you. Okay, any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Okay, Ms. So it's just okay.
The next item is RFP 24-07, device charging carts for pre-K through fifth grade classrooms to Ari Jones Education Solutions. The Division of Technology requests approval to utilize the contract awarded to Ari Jones Educational Solutions under RFP 24-04 and approved by the board at an original amount of $4 million to purchase 534 device charging carts for pre-K through fifth grade classrooms. The funding source is ESSER 3. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the purchase of 534 device charging carts from Ari Jones Educational Solutions using the district contract awarded under RFP 24-07 in the amount of $850,177.
So moved and seconded. Discussion? Yes.
So, Mr. Jackson, every pre-K through fifth grade classroom will get a charging station.
I'm going to ask Ms. Feliciano to verify.
That's correct. It is to provide a set of devices within the classroom for each teacher so they don't have to go back and forth to the media center.
That's great. Good. That's great. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay. That is 8 and this has to be around side here. Okay. Continue.
So the next item is, again, under RFP 24-07, HP Chromebook purchase. Again, the vendors Ari Jones Educational Solutions. The Division of Technology requests approval to utilize the contract awarded to Ari Jones Educational Solutions under RFP 24-07 and approved by the board at an original amount of $4 million to purchase 3,000 HP Chromebooks, replace obsolete student devices throughout the district. The funding for this would come from East Plus 4. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the purchase of 3,000 HP Chromebooks from Ari Jones Educational Solutions using the district contract awarded under RFP 24-07 in the amount of $1,144,740.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Hall?
Mr. Jackson, where is Ari Jones located?
They have a satellite office here locally that we deal with and a warehouse.
Okay.
Any other
So that if
discussion?
anything goes wrong with the Chromebook, we have someone on site to get there and take care of it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? 8-0 again.
Okay, the last item under this section is for RFP 24-38, International Teacher Recruitment Services, annual contract. The purchasing department received one proposal in response to RFP 24-38, International Teacher Recruitment Services, annual contract. A proposal was received from Interlag Incorporated out of Atlanta, Georgia. The funding source would be various accounts in the general fund and Title I. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the contract award to the firm of Interlag Incorporated to provide international teacher recruitment services. Total estimated annual cost of $4,344,880 for the school year 2024 through 25.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
I have a question for
Yes.
Mr. Watts. If we hire a teacher internationally and they don't perform well on their TCAS evaluation, but we've contracted for their room and board and that kind of thing, how does that work itself out?
Can I respond to that? Yes. As it relates to this particular group of teachers, these are on J1, so we have a contract with the company, not the teacher. The teacher has a contract with the company. So we don't have a contract with a teacher in this situation. So if a teacher doesn't work out and they have, then they get sent back with the company, and then we'll get a replacement teacher that we would choose of our choosing.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Grabowski.
So I have two questions. I noticed that we only received one response. Is this a company that we have worked with in the past?
We began with them in 2003, so you'll see multiple contracts since 2003. There have been other years when we've had multiple vendors get selected along with them, but they've been consistently here, consistent for that long, yes.
Okay. And then second question, and I think this is kind of related to Ms. Hall's question, because of the unique nature, I know sometimes our international teachers work out beautifully in a school, and sometimes it's not such a great fit. Do we have any say-so in the individual teachers that are, number one, are provided by the company to the district, and then where in particular those teachers may go?
Yes, yes on both of those. So
Okay.
we interview these teachers just like any other teacher. In other words, our principals are interviewing the teachers. They're making a selection. They're deciding for that individual to come to their school, be a part of their staff. They end up being a part of the staff. Just like anything else, they may work out, they may not. They don't work out for whatever reason. If it's an end of the year where, okay, you know, we're trying to get them to grow, but then it didn't work out, maybe they don't return next year. If it's something egregious, maybe they don't return in the middle of the year. All depends on what it is, but they're not treated any differently than our other staff as it relates to that. Year by year, they're here, but in any given year, they could stop because the contract is with the company, not with the individual teachers.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, we're unanimous, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Our financial statements for this month, we are covering year-to-date through March 31st. So we are 75% finished with our school year. Our general funds, so far, we have collected 68% of our budget, which is higher than we had collected this time last year. We were at 65% of the budget. Our total actual revenues, we're at 70% compared to 67% last year. Our expenditures, our actual expenditures for our teachers, we're at 61% of the budget. At this point of time of the year, we would think we'd be at 75% of the cost, but we're at 61% of our teachers' costs that's been budgeted. And for our support salaries, we're at 55%. Again, we would expect to be between 70, 75%. So both of those numbers are lower than budgeted. Our total general actual expenditures for this year we're at 59% for of actual expenditures compared to this time last year at 61% for our general funds. Then we go to our school nutrition, Fund 600. School nutrition, at this point, we're showing a loss of almost $1.1 million. We have budgeted operating transfers from our general funds of $3.1 million. So far this year, we've only transferred $1.5 million. So this next month, we will be looking at the school nutrition costs to make the determination if we're going to transfer some of the operating funds from the general funds to help compensate them, or just look at the total cost that they're expecting for the next couple of months of the year. We did a review of the school nutrition expenses last month to make sure that all of the expenses had been captured through March. And this is where we are at this point, showing a loss of $1.1 million. So that's where we are with school nutrition. Do we have any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Katchmar, Mr. Grabowski, I think I saw Hoskins Brown. No? Okay, good. Okay, not this time. All right.
Fund 600 is like our, it's like an issue every year. And, well, I'm not saying it critically, because they're factors that we can't anticipate sometimes. And we have some hard contracts for dairy or pizza, but then we also have costs that fluctuate. I guess, so I understand there's some challenges there. We can't hard bid everything, but we try to. But I guess my question is kind of how we've allocated the funding here, because I see 2.4 million in food usage offset by the 2.4 million in federal grants. So I'm trying to figure out, and then I see the salary issue. I understand the salary issue, but the budget for salary is the same. It's a little over 12 million. So where is the operating loss coming from? And if there's a change in grant money that exactly matches food usage costs, why do we have a loss? What is it from? And is it inflation over the year? Or is it changes in food prices? Or is it labor? Do we know?
The majority of
losses almost every year. I know we tried to adjust for that. I don't know if that's the same.
You want to answer?
Sometimes we've had some of the budget issues in nutrition over the years have been labor. Some have been food cost. But what I'm seeing here is there's a negative 2.4 on the federal grant and a positive 2.4 on food usage. I'm trying to understand what this data is showing us. And then I see $1.1 million on the local other line, and then negative 1.1 on the supplies.
Correct.
So why is there $1 million shortfall? Is it because of food costs? Is it the amorphous supplies, whatever that means? But I understand, I guess what you're saying in your report, or what you were saying was we're going to have salary payments required over the next 3 months, but the revenue is going to dip so we need to cover the salaries. I get that. But let me just ask a simple question.
Okay.
Why do we have $1 million shortage? How's that?
Okay, we have realized.
I'm trying to look at the budget.
Yeah, there's been some innovative ideas being put forth by our school nutrition department that we're expecting to see some changes next year. the new administration and school nutrition kind of questioned our numbers and asked us to stop making the transfer from the general fund to the school nutrition. You see, we still have over here almost $1.6 million that we budgeted to help to supplement the costs in school nutrition that we have not used yet this year. So if we were doing 1/12 of that each month. And in December, we only have a half of that has been allocated. So if we go back to doing the supplement, this loss that you're seeing here would be covered.
Where is the half? Is that line 54?
Line 20, the operating transfers. You see, we budgeted $3.1 million for the year, and the actual so far is only 1.56.
We've also got the 1.5 and 54.
And we've got 1.56 available to use.
Yeah.
That we have budgeted that we have not used.
Yeah, and to chime in essence, this year and the previous year, we anticipated having a shortage with the food service revenues compared to their actual expenditures. Couple of things: the rising food costs and the rising personnel costs. Because the last few years we've been doing cost of living and step increases to food service. School food service fund, and they really cannot support those increases at the rates that they charge for food for students. We don't want to increase food costs, the cost of a meal for a child, so we've basically been supplementing the additional cost increase in the general fund. But in actuality, if you take out the $3 million transfer we put in, we really started the year with a $3 million gap that we knew we were going to have to cover from the general fund.
I got you. So what you're saying is it's a timing issue. We've got the budget for it. We just haven't moved the money
Correct.
over yet.
Right now, we haven't moved the money.
Okay.
Because the staff wanted to see how the operations would pan out, so now they see.
Now they see. I get it. Okay. I was just reading the report where it said, hey, we got a loss. I'm like, okay, what's going on? But we don't have a loss. It's a timing issue. We budgeted for it already.
Correct.
Okay.
Best practice is we want to make it self-sufficient, but we've been trying to do that for a decade and never got it. Okay.
Ms. Grabowski.
Well, and I don't know if it was last month or the month before, we did have an agenda item to look at the adult cost of meals, and that was pulled for additional analysis. So is that additional analysis happening in concert with the evaluation of the overall budget?
It is happening, and the Child Nutrition Department is getting some training and updates from the state, so we decided to hold off until we have all the information that we need.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
I know I've asked this question of the superintendent about how other districts are able to do free breakfast and lunch. Have we looked any more into that and what we would have to do as a district?
Still investigating that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Howard Hall.
Yes, my question is regarding the expenditures for teacher salaries with the deduction in percentage. Is that due to teacher vacancies? Thank you. Teacher vacancies, or estimating teachers that may pursue or have received higher degrees or whatever? What is the leading factor for that decrease for the expenditure in teacher salaries?
It's primarily vacancies.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Continue.
Thank you.
And while I have a moment, I believe that is another topic that we want to bring to the Finance Committee to talk about food service in a kind of separate presentation to bring you up to speed. But as someone pointed out, it hasn't changed in the last few years, and it's only going to I hate to say get worse, as long as we continue to give COLAs and steps to employees, they're going to struggle even more in the food service area. The next agenda item out of H plus 2 is the HVAC renovations for Myers. It's the budget transfer, to transfer unallocated funds to a HVAC renovations project in the amount of $3,584,406. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget transfer and funding source change as noted.
Okay. It's been moved, seconded. Question? No questions? No discussion? Wonderful. All in favor? All right, continue.
And this one coincides with the previous transfer, and I should have pointed out, we initially was going to do the HVAC renovations out of East Plus 4, but staff decided to use East Plus 2 to try to close out East Plus 2. That was on the previous transfer. This one is to take the money that we budgeted in East Plus 4 for the renovations and just put it back into basically an unallocated account for each HVAC projects for other sites, again, in the amount of $3,584,406. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget transfer as noted.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item is for bid 24-12, renovations to Henderson E. Formey Jr. Elementary Learning Center. The purchasing department received one bid in response to bid C-24-12, renovations to Henderson E. Formey Jr. Early Learning Center for FCCPSS. Bid was received from the Summit Corporations out of Savannah, Georgia. Staff recommends that the award be made to the Summit Corporation for the total cost of $8,969,796. The funding source will be East Plus 4. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approves the award of bid C-24-12, renovations to Henderson E. Formey Jr. Early Learning Center to Summit Corporations for the total cost of $8,969,796.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Johnson.
I don't know if, because we've been here a little while, but my memory's not there. We've done work with Salmon Corporation before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so them being the only one to respond to the bid is, we know the work, we know the quality, we're good.
That's correct. Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? Yes, Ms. Hall.
Just the question, is that unusual for us to just get one response? Is there something in our presentation that might have
I wouldn't say it's unusual, but the more and more we put out RFPs and bids, the number of people responding is getting fewer and fewer, and I think it's because of the work that's out there in the community.
The industry itself
Yes,
is so busy?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. No more discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much.
Okay, the next transfer, again, is for Henderson E. Formey renovations, and this is for the FF&E. This budget is transferring $2 million from a construction contract to an account to pay for non-expendable computer equipment. Thus be it resolved, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the board approve the budget transfer as noted.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
The next item is for the Isle of Hope modifications, and it's approval of a new work order under statewide and indefinite quality construction contract using a Georgia statewide contract. Coastal Georgia Comprehensive Academy is scheduled to occupy a wing in the Isle of Hope K-8 school beginning the start of the 2024 school year. Renovations are needed to the Isle of Hope facility to meet special program needs for Coastal Georgia Comprehensive Academy, and these renovations need to be completed over the summer. Staff has reviewed the proposal and find it to be complete and in the best interest of the district for the total cost and schedule that the superintendent supports the recommendation to use state contract and give the award to Johnson Lots Construction, LLC. The proposal has also been reviewed by the board attorney. The funding source is coming out of Fund 308. Modifications, thus be it resolved, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the board approve the proposal for the Isle of Hope K-8 Coastal Georgia Comprehensive Academy modifications from Johnson Lots Construction, LLC, and enter into a contract with Johnson Lots Construction, LLC, under the terms of the state contract number 99999-SPD-S202-00901 in the total lump sum amount of $951,836.82. The superintendent and her designees are authorized to take all actions necessary and proper to complete this transaction.
It's been moved. Moved and seconded. We do have two people here to speak on this agenda item. First, Mr. William Deloach. Well, do you want 3 minutes or 6 minutes? Do it separately.
We were supposed to bring documents for you guys to look at, but I didn't know how I was supposed to distribute those. I have.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
All right, okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you? Thank you so much.
You're Rachel Lee.
I'm Rachel Lee.
Okay.
And most of you probably don't know me at all. I own a construction company for the past 35 years called RL Construction. And we have bid and successfully have produced so many projects for you guys. In fact, I renovated this building 35 years ago. It's been a long time. But getting to the point, we bid this project, competitively bid this project on March the 7th. And 2 bids were received. And the low bidder had some type of mathematical error and withdrew his bid, which put RL Construction as the apparent low bidder at bid time. That was on March the 7th. We made some calls down to the purchasing department twice and left voicemails to talk about the project, see where we're going on it. We're going to rebid it, what we're going to do. We're ready and able. We do a lot of summer work for you guys. Every summer we have renovations. We completed the coastal middle school last summer. The transportation, a brand new building over on 516. So we're used to doing very quick projects. Anyway, we understand that on April the 24th, we were issued a letter that the project had been canceled. And so at that point, I felt like probably you were going to rebid it. And then on Monday morning, I looked at the agenda for this meeting here and noticed that there was a agenda to award the project to Johnson Locks Construction. I was just flabbergasted. I didn't know what to think. You've got so much documentation in here, but on page 17, there's a basis of contract award, the rules and regulations of how you can award the project when you have two bidders, when you have bids in excess of a budget. I don't know. But you guys can, at your sole discretion, reject all bids, supplement the budget, or negotiate with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And that's the question of the day there. I understand that there was negotiations that's been taking place with Johnson Locks for the past 8 weeks. And we were not given that opportunity whatsoever. We didn't even get a call back to try to negotiate this job, if need be, to get it within a budget. And we're local. We're right around the corner. We operate a business in District 1, and we're a woman-owned business. Been in business 35 years. And we would like the opportunity to have tried to negotiate with this project. And I don't understand the cancellation letter. Is it canceled? Is it not canceled? I mean, we're here today to award to Johnson Locks, so I don't understand. You want to add?
Well, yeah, we don't feel like this has been fair. And we would, we've done a lot of good work for the district. And we would like everybody to be held to the same standards. We looked over the schedule of values with Johnson Locks, and they weren't held to the same standards as our price. No punitive damages at all. We were held to $1,000 a day. So, I mean, it's not the same. There's also, other allowances they had where we were required to give a lump sum contract. In the bid tab, our bid tabs were publicized where they could price this out and use our prices that we gave at bid time, which was unfair. Their proposal date was dated before the cancellation letter that we received. So it's like the front door and the back door was open, coming in and out. It's just, they were getting prices without us having the same opportunity. We are ready and willing and able to do this project. We have a proven track record.
The start date is 20 days from now. It's the 28th. And then the completion date is 8 weeks after that. And we've completed every summer projects just like this, same magnitude, 1.2 million, and we're ready to go. We're local. We're right around the corner. We're not a huge contractor, but we put our love in the project.
Yeah. And I don't know, we urge you to vote no.
Our,
this proposal
our bid is
and
for
reconsider.
120 days from the date of bid. I have to withhold that price for 120 days with a 5% bid bond. And so my price is good. Or we can negotiate. We're just ready to do the project, and it's got our name all over it. It's just not fair. We went to the bid, we produced a bid, we went to the pre-bid, and this other company could have bid it at bid time, but chose not to. So that's where we are on it. We're ready. We just wanted the opportunity to sit down with you guys and let you know how we feel.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Grabowski.
I would like some clarification from staff. I understand that we had two bidders, the one withdrew. And it's my understanding that we did not go back to potentially negotiate on the bid received from RL Construction. I understand the sensitivity of the time, but I would like some clarification on whether or not we did that, and if not, or if there was other concerns with the proposal.
No, having two bids and then having the low bidder asked to be excused because he did make a material error left us with...
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Mr. Honeyga?
I'm sorry. Having two bids and then having the low bidder asked to be excused because he made a material error in his bid, that left us with one bid. And we just did not feel that that bid was in the best interest to move forward. So what you would do then is cancel and put the project back out for bid. We've done that a number of times. But due to the tightness of the schedule that we had with this project, we looked at alternate methods that could be used. And so that is how we came up with the proposal that we had based on the state contract. And I'd just like to also mention that all of this was done under the guidance of a legal counsel.
Ms. Hall?
I would hope that we could maybe table this,
We don't
or
have time.
if there's no
We don't have
time
time.
left, then, because, Mr. Huttinger, their situation seems to be that they were not fully kept in contact with, even though they called and emailed and that kind of thing, about what was going on, what decision was in play. Would you agree to that?
Well, there's, once the bid is made and we have it, you know, it's not our policy to be negotiating and to, you know, look at like how, it's a lump sum bid. Are you going to lower your number? Well, then why didn't you lower your number when you bid it? So, no, the bid is on the table. We look at the bid, we look at the circumstances, we look at our particular schedule and things. And again, it was just in the best interest in this particular bid to go forward with the process that we did.
Mr. Kashmir?
All right, we just awarded a contract where there was one bidder. So you've identified, I mean, you said you didn't think it was in the best interest of the district, so we went to the state contract. Was it price? Was it proposed timeline to complete the schedule? And I don't want to second guess the decision. I want to know the process was transparent and fair. And so if there was a difference between proposed timelines, if we thought that the the cost proposed by the bidder was too high. Okay, I get those reasons, but all I've heard is we didn't think it was in the best interest, and there was, the sole bidder. We just gave a contract to a project where there was a sole bidder. So help me understand a little more and kind of provide me some assurances that the process was transparent and fair.
Sure. And in this particular case, the second bidder was twice the low bidder. Like I said, the low bidder had made a material error, but based upon our architect's estimate, the second bidder still was substantially higher than what his estimate was. In the case of the previous award, that contract amount came in on the estimate, and so that's why that was awarded and it wasn't pulled back at that particular time.
And did the bidder, was there a difference in proposed schedule to get the project done as well? Was that a concern, or was it just basically it was way off what the architect estimated?
It was the primary concern that drove it was the cost.
Okay. And the decision to go to the state contract was because we need to get this work done by beginning of school, and if we had rebid the entire project, it would have been a 30 or 60 or 90-day process.
Correct. If we would have rebid, we would not have been able to get it awarded and get that work done this summer.
Okay. And I want to ask this question. I don't know if it can be answered because of the process, but why did we go that route rather than negotiate with the one bid?
It was just felt it was best at this point to go the other route than to look at any kind of a negotiation or any other process.
Because this was a hard bid?
Yeah.
Mr. Sonny, do you have something you want to say?
I passed a couple of sheets, which are.
Sonny, go to the mic, please. Mike, go to the mic, please.
So, I don't know if I should read this or not. Should we read this? Say yes or no? So.
Joe's going to do an open records request now because he knows it exists.
Okay. So we had two different project managers who worked with RL Construction, and they filled out, they mentioned two projects. One was Coastal Middle School, and the other one was that building at the transportation. So I'll read one comment from my unsatisfactory. Construction was not completed per contract schedule. The second project said that in addition to quality issues, there were other, project was extended well beyond 30 days required to complete it. Those were the two reasons I selected not to give it to them.
Dr. Bringman.
I'm just doing math, and thank you for coming and speaking. Thank you for doing construction. Please continue to bid on things because, as we heard earlier, there's too much work out there. So thank you for opening up a dialogue, and I feel like this is one of those like squeeze points of we needed something done quickly. RFP takes a long time. We can just hop on the state thing, and it's a quicker process, which is unfortunate to some degree to local. But it was I'm doing math, is a 28% difference between your initial bid and then the 951 that is in this bid for the state contract. Because yours was at 1.218, is that?
Yeah, but it wasn't apples for apples.
It's a different scope of work.
And
Okay.
we've never been charged punitive damages ever. So
It's a different scope of work, but Johnson Locks is able to produce at 950 versus our 1,218,000.
Can y'all tell us what changed in the scope, just so we?
No,
I'm just wanting to know the whole picture.
I would dispute that. I don't agree that it was a different scope of work because the other contractor bid the plans and the specifications. So it is the same scope as far as physically.
Okay, other contractor, Johnson.
I'm sorry, Johnson.
Okay, so
Right.
the new possibly voted on bid, you're saying bid the same? And is going to provide the exact same thing?
Scope of work, exactly.
Okay,
yes.
with the same fixture, same terrazzo, if we want terrazzo, yeah, okay.
Correct.
They checked the box and said no
And they had allowed.
It's liquidated. It's liquidated. Yes. Go ahead.
I hear the liquidated damages issue, but liquidated damages are charged for not finishing the project on time, and it's paid by the contractor. So are you, I mean, I guess what I'm hearing is you built in cost to pay liquidated because you were anticipating not getting it done by the date? I mean, I don't understand that distinction.
Contractors should bid the same scope of work.
Okay.
Shouldn't be allowed to issue allowances in their bid, whereas we had to put all the terrazzo in there. You look at their scope and they were allowed to put an allowance in for terrazzo. Patchwork. It's just not the same.
They had 2,500, we had 50,000.
We weren't allowed
How
to
is that
negotiate. They negotiated that contract.
We did not negotiate at all. We gave them the drawings and they sent us the proposal.
Yeah, their proposal is extremely detailed. They go through and with estimators, estimate the work, and they put together actually the scope, each itemized, and then they have a unit price amount. And that unit price amount is a state contract amount. So we could go down through, our architect has gone down through and looked at all of the items. His proposal is almost a half-inch thick. Very, very detailed breakdown with the state-approved unit prices, and that's the way they come up with their pricing and their proposal.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other discussion from the board? Thank you. All in favor of giving the...
Restate the resolution.
Yes, the resolution is, let's see, approve the contract for the Isle of Hope K-8 CGCA modifications to Johnson Locks construction. And a lump sum of $951,836.82. All in favor? Okay. All opposed? 2 opposed. Abstaining? 2 abstain. Passes. Thank you. Continue, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir. Okay, the next item is a budget transfer within Fund 308, again for the Isle of Hope K-8 site for the relocation of the Coastal Georgia Comprehensive Academy. The Capital Projects Department requests the following budget transfer within Fund 308 for Coastal Georgia Comprehensive Academy wing modification, construction work, contingency, access control, data cabling, and security cameras in the amount of $1,101,837. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget transfer as noted.
I'll accept the motion. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Ms. Grabowski.
Just real quickly, because I've gotten a lot of feedback about water fountains from some constituents. These are the ones that are the fountain and the
No,
filler.
no, no, no,
all
we're,
over, right?
no, we're on Isle of Hope.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
darn
there
it.
yet.
Sorry. I'm just ready to get
We're moving
on.
money.
Okay, sorry, moving money. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll save mine.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All right. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move to water.
This is a district-wide filtered water fountain and bottle filler station, wall panels replacement, filters, and installation, which is a one-time purchase on a statewide contract, SPD 0000181-0001 to WW Granger. The Division of Operation is requesting approval to purchase filtered water fountains and bottle filler stations, wall panels, replacement filters, and installation of 50 district-wide site locations from the established Georgia statewide contract with WW Granger. Statewide contracts are established by state purchasing through the Department of Administrative Services for the benefit of government entities located throughout Georgia. The funding source, again, is ESSA 3, or the American Recovery Program funding, in the amount of $2,242,026.72. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the purchase of 517 district-wide filter water fountains and bottle filler stations, replacement filters, and installation at a estimated cost identified in the chart above for a total cost after savings of $2,242,026.72.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Now,
Now I'll ask my
Ms.
question.
Grabowski.
Sorry, I was just going there. So these are the ones that it's one unit, it's a fountain and a filler all in one. Perfect, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Yes. All right, thank you very much.
And the last item is from the Transportation Department to purchase Type A microbuses off of a statewide contract. The Department of Transportation is requesting board approval for the purchase of Type A microbuses from the established Georgia statewide contracts. Staff recommends approving the purchase of 10 Type A microbuses to meet the district's need to expand student transportation option. The following buses have been identified for purchase. The 10 buses from Yancey Bus Sales and Service. Account line would be the general fund within the Transportation Department. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the purchase of 10 Type A microbuses from Yancey Bus Sales and Service utilizing statewide contract SWC 999-999 SPD SWL 202-00630-001 as identified in the chart above at a total cost of $1,145,040.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay. It is now time for us to hear from the public. First, we have Mr. Harmon Chanel, who is a student. Love seeing students here. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Who, by the way, was Dr. Watts's anvil tutor the other day. So-
Yes, sir. I have 12 copies of the first and second page of a policy. I was informed by an email to bring materials which I would be speaking about. So how would that be distributed? It's front and back just one page per person. Hi there. So I've received a little bit of an introduction, but my name is Harmon Chanal, and I'm a sophomore at the Savannah Arts Academy. I recently had a lengthy and informative discussion with a group of peers and Dr. Watts on a variety of topics, and one that came up was grading. And specifically, we brought up a policy that governs how transfer credits from outside the district are handled, which is what I wish to talk about today. The general consensus was that grading systems and standards vary so wildly between schools, even within this district, that it is very difficult for one school to weigh the grades of another. Now, the specific policy I wish to discuss is IHA-R1, grading systems. More specifically, the section entitled Conversion of Transfer Grades and Letter Grades to Numerical Grades for Transfer Students. And you'll find it on page 2. It's front and back. Now, the current policy states that credits will be entered at the midpoint of a letter grade when a transfer school's transcript states only a letter. So that's 95 for A, 85 for B, etc. Now, this is an incredibly arbitrary conversion, and it is generally harmful in several ways. Now, please allow me to give a personal anecdote as I explain why. I took a course over the summer at an accredited online school, and this was due to SECPSS summer program limitations. And I was hoping to knock out a math class so I could take more advanced math classes during the school year. And I got my wish, and I was able to enroll in an AP math class. However, I was informed by my school counselor that because the transcript from the transfer school states only an A, it would have to be entered as an arbitrary midpoint on my transcript. My original hope was that this credit could be entered as simply credit or no grade or something to that effect, as I sought neither an advantage nor a disadvantage over my peers in terms of class rank and GPA. Now, based on my research of GDOE rules, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, the state requires that transfer credits be issued, but makes no mention of numerical grades. One example of this, GDOE policy 160-5-1-0.15 states, local boards of education shall accept student course credits earned at an accredited school, and leaves it at that. The state policy leaves out how to convert grades, and my assumption is that this was left open intentionally for flexibility. Other academic institutions are known for accepting transfer credits but not grades, especially within the university system of Georgia, because they recognize that every school has a slightly different standard of grading, and attempting to convert between such standards does far more harm than good. Especially in competitive environments such as Savannah Arts, where fractions of a point are vital, the current policy places otherwise capable transfer students at an inherent disadvantage if their original school happens to favor a different grading system. And I've spoken recently to several of these students at my school. While I know it seems like a relatively petty concern, I would like to remind the board that the number of students who transfer into the district each year is not insignificant, and this policy may affect a large portion of those students, including those from the 18 states that use a purely letter system. Even when transferring grades from a 100-point scale, it is unwise to take into account student performance at a completely different environment because every state, school, and district has a different standard. Certain students can game the system while others feel locked out of it. To be clear, the current policy does give some leeway to principals, but based on my reading does not allow for complete exemption of credits from GPA. Now, the easiest and most comprehensive solution is to enter transfer grades with a code of P that generally indicates a passing score with no letter or numerical grade attached. This would allow credits to appear on transcripts without weighing grades by another school's standards. Additionally, no student would be able to gain an unfair disadvantage or advantage over their peers. Please consider reworking this section of IHA-R1 to better foster academic growth and competition for transfer students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job. Wow.
Can we get a superintendent's note on that?
Yes.
Grading is on my agenda to explore next school year.
Harmon, can you please stay until the very end so I can chat with you?
Yes.
Oh, make them suffer even.
Yes. Okay. Next is Miss Teresa Watson here? She is not. Okay, Peter Robine.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Before I get started, what I say, I just would like to request that the board be courteous to the taxpayers. Don't make the general public wait till the end of the meeting. I personally lose time out of work when I come to these meetings. I worked a 10-hour construction day yesterday in the heat. So when I come here, I lose money, which I can barely afford. Thank you. So our schools need to implement a freedom-oriented curriculum. We need to teach freedom as a curriculum. The curriculum needs to encompass history, civics, free market capitalism, and it needs to acknowledge the presence of God in the establishment and history of our country. And when I say God, I'm referring to the one true God, God in heaven, his Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. This was the God of our founding fathers. It was the God of Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a devout Christian. She never took credit for her amazing courage. She never did that. She gave all that glory to God. That should be taught in school. I recently passed a milestone. I have now recited the entire Declaration of Independence out loud from memory over 2,500 times. God is referenced 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. In the third reference, our founding fathers asked God for help to start this country. And that goes, we therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions. Every Christian knows who the Supreme Judge of the world is. That needs to be taught in school. Biblical scripture is written on the Liberty Bell. What is that scripture, Roger? Do you know? Anybody? Nobody knows. Isn't that funny? On the Liberty Bell, biblical scripture, it's Leviticus 25:10. Proclaim liberty throughout the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. That should be taught in school. Every student should know this. So we need to write a new curriculum. And this curriculum needs to be taught in schools to every child, every student, at every school, every grade level, and at every year. I'm happy to come and help you design this curriculum. We need to have benchmarks for every year. And graduation needs to be merit-based. No one should graduate high school without understanding our Constitution. I teach the Constitution at a local church every week.
Thank you very much.
That was 3.5 minutes. Why am I being cut off when everyone else gets to speak longer? Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask you for a phone call. No one here has returned my phone calls. Roger, I've called you many times. You never return my phone call. Dr. Watts, please return my phone call. I'll be happy to come and talk to you. And
Thank you. Thank you.
please give me a call. We'll
you.
set an appointment, and I will come and talk to you. And I would like to have equal time, please.
Thank you.
The person before me spoke for 4.5 minutes.
Next, we have Mrs. Elise Rush.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Elise Rush. I'm the director of the studio Savannah, and this is Trina Dunn. She's the director of Gretchen Green School of Dance. We're local dance educators in the community. We serve a lot of the children here, and we're mostly here to talk to you today about the facility requests for the theaters in the public school. not sure if you're aware, but since the system has been more centralized, it's become really non-accessible for people to rent out. We have utilized the theaters in the public school systems for many, many years before it kind of got switched over, like after COVID. I know during COVID it was kind of hands off, but then it came back, and then everything's been renovated, and it's beautiful, and there's many, beautiful theaters available in the city. And we'd love to, bring that to the community and bring our students there and our families there, and, have some revenue for the school board. Like, we want to rent those from you, and there's a lot of studios in town that also really feel the same. We're all really struggling finding venues for our recitals. That's that's the focal point of our whole season, is bringing all the families and the students together so they can have an end of the year show. And the public school system really houses the majority of the venues in Savannah. So without access to these theaters, we're all really kind of struggling to find a suitable place. A lot of studios have stopped even offering end of the year shows. So mainly I want to talk about, how it's a centralized system, so there's not really a direct contact at the school level to make it happen. So it's kind of like we get, put in circles, and at the end of the day, we're not ever really able to book it. So I don't know if there's a more direct way that we could kind of resolve the problem. Because we're very flexible. We would take any date that would be available. We'll take a Wednesday night, a Sunday, after school's out of session. We'll be very flexible. Okay. Also, I think some other concerns they had was staffing issues to staff the events of outside rentals. We'd like to propose potentially contracting out custodial services. I know some other venues in town have it that way, or security services. You can contract that out. If, I know Cultural Arts Center does that. If we rent out them, we have to get our own security system. So whatever solution we could find to make those theaters that you guys just poured so much money into accessible to the community and get some return on your investment, we represent like just a small percentage of the studios in town that would like to be a part of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rick Roney.
Good afternoon, President Moss, board members, Dr. Watts. I was out of town 2 days last week and missed two very important meetings. Going to have to stop traveling, I guess. The first was the accountability meeting held by Dr. Hoskins Brown's. Fortunately, I was able to watch the video when I got back, which was really good. The discussion was about the updated strategic plan. I was extremely impressed by the progress, Dr. Watts, you and your team have made on that. The plan is coherent, cross-functional, multidimensional, has challenging goals that will be measured. It's too bad the whole board wasn't there for that conversation. I'd recommend those that you were not on the committee watch that video. I'd also recommend that to the public as a whole. The second meeting was the community partnership meeting hosted by Sherry Goldman and her team. Mayor Johnson was in attendance, as was Dr. Watts. This was not recorded, but Ms. Goldman was kind enough to give George Woods and I a run-through on the presentation she made. It was superb. I would recommend you invite her to do that at an informal meeting sometime. She provided a context for the literacy plan with data about the district, about our literacy statistics, the science of reading, state legislation governing literacy. Most important was the literacy plan itself. It is extremely well thought through. I can't emphasize that enough. Covers all levels of the organization, from the staff to principals, school administrators, teachers. It encompasses the letters training that's underway, the new curricula that's coming in this next year, early intervention programs, and more. It's kind of a dream come true. It's a coherent plan that will provide focus in the whole system. The goal, every child will learn to read. It's going to take time, but it will happen. The results won't be overnight, but it will happen. That plan is going, as it's executed, will change our system. I ask that the board communicate to your constituents that this is underway and that it's going to take time. So people don't expect the world to turn over in 1 year or 2 years. This is going to take time, but it's going to happen. So given that, I was thinking back where we were a year ago. I remember going to the 208 Bull Street, standing outside as you announced the hiring of Dr. Watts. It was just about this time last year. Dr. Watts you've been here 10 months now. You've accomplished a lot. We're committed to the teaching based on the science of reading. We're training 1,500 teachers in letters. We have a new curriculum coming in. Last year, we had a literacy plan that was mediocre at best. This year, we have a literacy plan that's going to transform our teaching process. So we're on the right road. Dr. Watts, I want to congratulate you and your team for the enormous progress you've made in a very short time. Our children are going to be the beneficiaries of this work, and so I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney. All right. Next, we have Mr. Michael Harrell.
Well, it's an honor to be here. I'm coming under my own steam because this topic, the ACEs study, which is adverse childhood experiences, is something that's close to me, and I don't have anybody behind me. It's just one citizen talking to the board. How many of you know about the ACEs study and the trauma-informed society? Yeah, how did you know about it?
Because you called me and you told me about it.
Thank you very much. It was that really inspired me to come and talk to the board. What this study is about adverse childhood experiences, and it was done by the CDC and the Kaiser Permanente, who are an insurance firm. They sell health insurance. What they found out is what it covers, what the ACE study covers is physical, sexual, and verbal abuse, physical and emotional neglect, a family member who is depressed or diagnosed with another mental illness, addicted to alcohol and other substances, a person in prison, and witnessing a mother being abused and losing a parent's separation from divorce and other things. This is what the ACEs study covers. And what they found, and they did this in California, and Kaiser Permanente is big. It was like 17,000 people that was in their survey, and they had the full medical history of them. What they found was that 64% of the adults that they did in America have at least one A score. And if you have one A score, there's an 87% chance you'll have a double A score. You'll have more than one ACEs score. ACEs is just a test, a 10-question test. And whatever your score is on that test is what your score is. Now, here's some of the other results that it impacts, and that is, this is from the in 2015 National Survey on Drug Use and Health. That's the people who track the drug use in America. It says that 91 million people take pain relievers, 38 million take tranquilizers, 13 million take stimulants and prescription sedatives. So all these, the huge amount of people are taking drugs because the quality of life is not right. They have psychosomatic diseases or maladies that are caused from these adverse childhood experiences. And then this brings into the quality of life, which is ACEs is the number one factor for prison inmates, the number one factor for obesity and Eating disorders, the number one factor for mental and health issues, the number one factor for homelessness, and so on. There's a whole bunch of them, PTSD and all that. And here's one of the things that was really ground shaking, really kind of rattled your bones when the CDC, this is from the CDC's website, they talk about how ACEs increases the risk or is a factor for chronic illness and prior physical health. These are the diseases that are associated with adverse childhood experiences.
Sir, you run out of time.
Okay, thank you very much.
But you can leave that with us.
No, this is just my notes. But what I'd like to do is propose that more information be gathered by the board on this topic. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Anyone have any new business for the board? That not being the case, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. We will see some of you at 6 o'clock for the budget hearing.